Greetings, folks, and welcome to Vinyl Therapy Sessions Single Focus, the Dungeons and Dragons Gamestop exclusive Warduke edition with D20 included. I am your host, Coco Smooth, and today I will be showcasing one of my most favorite Dungeons and Dragon characters there are. Now, here's the real sucky part. You're going to be wondering, well, why you? Why you? Why is he your most favorite, or at least one of your favorite characters to begin with? Well, in the tender age of 5, back in the Hyborian age, just kidding, in the early 80s, Dungeons and Dragons was a thing that was kind of tried to be sold in every kind of which way there was. Right? There was a cartoon, there were toys, there was even the actual tabletop game, comics and stuff, right? But there was a stigma. Around that time, I believe that people who played Dungeons and Dragons were being accused of Satan worship and a bunch of other stuff. And parents became discouraged from playing, from their children playing these things. Plus, I didn't really know how to play at the age of 5. But at the age of 5, I did watch Conan, Excalibur, The Beastmaster, Sword and the Sorcerer, and even Krull and a bunch of other, sword and sorcery movies in its, in its time, in that time. It was a real popular genre. Masters of the Universe, He-Man, those kind of things. I was all about that life. I love Skeletor. I love He-Man. I love anything sword and sandals, Dungeons and Dragons, sword and sorcery, fantasy, that kind of stuff. I grew up loving all of that. My imagination was vast because I was able to watch those movies, even though they were rated R. Thank you, Mom and Pops. Thank you for allowing me to watch those movies back then. Even though it was clearly inappropriate for kids. With a level of violence, gore, and adult situations, if you will. Anyways, let's get back to the point, all right? Okay, so Warduke was introduced to me as a toy. It was a toy that was in the commercials as a kid, with Strongheart and a bunch of other stuff. Now, that really neat, like, snake cave looking castle thing that they got going on when I was a kid. Like, oh, I want that. But of course, no, we weren't exactly rich. So no, none for you. You're stuck playing with He-Man and Tron, and that's it. No, none of this other stuff. That's what we're sticking with. All right. Anyways, my cousin had this, and I played with it. I played with that and his Strongheart, and like one of his other dwarf characters, and I was like, yeah, cool action figures playing. Sword, shield, yeah. And of course, when it was time to go home, dang it. And so as I grew up, almost forgetting about it, every now and then Warduke would show up in, when I was finally old enough to actually play Dungeons and Dragons, around the age of 13 years, 13 years. Yeah, I mean, Warduke wasn't really a thing at the time anymore, except for when he showed up in the covers of, like, say, Dragon Magazine or Dungeon Magazine, right? Because, 80s had passed and things are different. People were more into other things and stuff. So, yeah, and I saw this pop was introduced. I was like, oh my gosh, nostalgia! That's why he's my most favorite, one of my most favorite characters. I grew up, reading Drizzt, the Forgotten Realm stuff. One of my most favorite characters, in fiction, just reading it. But Warduke, I've never actually read none of his stuff. All I know is that his toy was cool. And, this hits my nostalgia bug, right in the nostalgic heart, which is what what I experience whenever I see this. And every time I look at him, I'm like, yeah, he's so dope. Always brings me back. So here's a closer look at him. I know I'm sorry, it took me forever to get to the point to showcase him, but I had to get it out of the way, tell the story. And this is what he looks like. He has his Um, he came with his D20, which was a blue, if I remember correctly, uh, his bastard sword, and his shield, his helmet, and he looks like a gladiator. And I love the detail in this. You can see his like kind of dagger right here. Really cool stuff, you know. Um, man, I, I really hope that they do make other Dungeons and Dragon characters because I really need a Lord Soth in my life. They did make Strahd, but that Strahd just doesn't look quite like the Strahd that I remember him being portrayed in Ravenloft. It's a more updated thing. This is why I like this one, because this rendition is closer to true form. You know, his OG form, you know, whatever he is, and not too much interpretation other than, you know, what they can do with pops, right? But pretty close to the spirit of his, you know, the original source material, which I respect, right? Not a lot of people be respecting that these days, but yeah. So this is what he looks like. I love it, and this is what it came. The dice it came with, D20, really cool. And here's his box, and you'll notice on this thing that his and the box art, which is pretty accurate, obviously, to the pop itself. It's more orange on the fig than it is on the box. The box is more red. At least that's how I see it. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm colorblind, but this is a deep red versus the orange that's in front of my face, right? Um, yeah, these are the original characters from the pop. Mind Flayer being the most popular because of Stranger Things, you know what I'm saying? Mind Flayer, the Illithid, so real popular. They'll probably reintroduce him in some capacity just because the demand, I hope, but you know, for the fans who really want him. Otherwise, I don't care because I bought him and I'm glad, and I hope his PPG keeps going up. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because I collect. So yeah, this is the box number 847 Warduke. Yeah, and I love the GameStop exclusive sticker here and the D20 exclusive. Now I'm not gonna lie, I much prefer the original GameStop sticker because it was smaller and vertical, but this helps me to identify this better and faster, in my opinion. So, um, but yeah. All right, folks. You guys, if you guys only knew, if they need to make a Lord Soth, they really do. If you guys know what Vader looks like in Dungeon and Dragon format, that's what Lord Soth is like. Fallen Paladin. I I really want one. They need to make it. Anyways, you know, that's all I got for this segment of Vinyl Therapy Sessions, the Dungeons and Dragons uh, Warduke D20 GameStop exclusive. I am your host, Coco Smooth. Until the next video. Ciao!